Hi, I'm Dr. Anna Cabeca. I'm board certified in gynecology obstetrics. I'm an expert in functional medicine as well as trained in age management medicine. I work to provide women and men and families with the tools they need to help optimize their health, restoring their vitality and energy. Today, very blessed to be with two amazing women and patients, Jermaine and Rachel. And they would like to share with you a little bit about their experience, their trials and tribulations, and where they are today. Jermaine, would you like to start?
Okay, well, Dr. Cabeca, as you know, I had been diagnosed with the Hodgkin's disease a little over 10 years ago. And I've been in remission for 9 years. And about 4 years ago, after having my last child, I went into congestive heart failure. So praise God, I'm still here, but I want it to be more than just here. And I found out through my hairstylist that you existed right here in Brunswick. And so I thought about it for a while, and then it was like, you know what, I don't want to just be on survival mode. I'm glad to be in recovery, glad to be in remission, but I want the optimal that I can have in my life.
Well, being victorious over your, over the disease process, being victorious. Sometimes I find patients with cancer, they're just going for their screenings thinking, okay, when am I going to be diagnosed again?
Yeah.
When is the next shoe going to drop, basically? And so by working to figure out, okay, well, what are some of the underlying imbalances? And in my aspect, my understanding is that really over 90% of diseases are related to hormone imbalance and inflammation. And if we get to the underlying, not only the underlying, but the underlying causes of the imbalances that began 9 years ago, 20 years ago, etc., or correct the imbalances now, so 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you're not facing something else.
Exactly.
And so tell a little bit more about how intervention made a difference and what you've done to actively take control and part of that.
Okay, well, in coming to you, first of all, filling out the first questionnaire, trying to find out where I was and where I wanted to be health-wise with intervention. We did blood work. We found out about some of the things that were going on with me.
Hormonal changes.
Hormonal changes, because I had begun to enter into that perimenopausal stage of life where I was having hot flashes and couldn't sleep at night. And then I would get the night sweats. So I was concerned about that. Yes, I had heard, growing up that this is a part of life and that's just the way it is. But when I started on the boot camp, and with each of the different speakers that you had for each week, I was learning more and more that a lot of that stuff that you grew up hearing that it's just going to be that way, it's not so.
Doesn't have to be that way.
Doesn't have to be. And so, of course, that gives you great encouragement to want to try to, okay, if I can address this now, it doesn't have to be as severe as what I thought it should be. Then again, you've got that optimal life as a vision and whatnot. And so, for me particularly, number 6, the sexual CPR class, my husband came in and listened to it with me the entire time. He did not fall asleep. We got a lot out of that. And there were things that I didn't know about, and again, going back to the first questionnaire, there was a question that I was asked, and it was saying something like, were you having any sexual desire? And for me, I felt like, yeah, I was, but it's not like it's anything to jump up and down about, after being married, almost 20 years.
So when was the last time you initiated sex?
Not before the boot camp, and the G-shot happened.
There you go.
And so with the G-shot, and my name begins with the G, Jermaine.
The Jermaine shot.
The Jermaine shot, okay.
That's what your husband calls it.
Yes, yeah, because he was like, oh, call Dr. Cabeca, found out about that shot, after we heard the session, because I'd never heard of it before. And it was about taking back my sexuality as well, because coming from a standpoint of disease, you're on survival mode,
yes.
And now that part is gone. So it's like, okay, I want everything back. Everything that was taken away from me, I want it back. And your sexuality is a great part of who you are.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Yay. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that so much.
Holla,
Thank
I'm
you.
happy.
Yeah, absolutely. And a happy husband. We saw him smiling earlier. Very good. And the thing that's really key is that in 7 weeks, there's over 10 hours of lectures, speakers, guests, and some questions and answer sessions where you're able to ask me questions. But in that 7-week time period, I'm able to give you 2 to 3 years, if not more, of office experience, because we're limited in the office, we're very targeted, but being able to empower you with that information, those tools, makes your success and understanding of your body and ability to make changes. Now, Rachel, you have a fantastic story because you came in kind of...
I didn't think I had any hormone problems because I was 55, didn't have night sweats, none of that. I didn't think I had any trouble, but I had problems that I always felt like I was a salmon swimming upstream. I could get it done, but I just felt like something was holding me back. I had other problems that I just didn't think had anything to do with hormones or anything. I had recurring urinary tract infections, cystitis. I had chronic hip pain. And my big thing was that my face would just explode in this allergic reaction, which I thought all this time was makeup, and I was very careful about what kind of makeup I did, and even led to several anaphylactic shock episodes, one of which I nearly, had no pulse. I mean, I almost died. But I just came to you because a friend said, well, Rachel, why don't you go see Dr. Cabeca? So I do, and the first thing, you check my blood and all that, and
made you detax.
And put me on the detox. Well, that was just like a flower in bloom, what all I learned from that. The first thing that happened is that my hip pain went away, which is huge. I'd been managing that pain through chiropractic care and massage therapy, and I had plantar fasciitis every morning trying to wake up and walk on feet that were killing me. That went away. That just blew my mind. And you suggested I take the ALCAT test, which is just a blood test.
For food sensitivities.
I learned that just about everything I was eating, I was allergic to.
Your favorite foods sometimes create these cravings for that food. It creates an inflammatory response, or if it's gluten or gliadin, morphine, so it's morphine to your system. So you actually become addicted to it, but it creates some inflammation. Don't have to be allergic, but sensitive.
And so you would tell me things, but then it wasn't really until the boot camp, because then every week it was a week of something that you had been trying to tell me when I would come to see you about the detox and nutrition. And that's when I really turned the corner. I had tried to stay on track with my eating, and but I didn't really get it until I went through the boot camp and systematically went through each time. That I think the 2 sessions for me, well, of course, the detox, so actually it was 3. The detox really helped me understand why I did what I did by going on it. And the complexion, the nutrition for a healthy skin.
Healthy digestion for a glowing complexion.
Since I'd had all these years of my face, being in such a state, that really meant, and then, like you say, she had so many great people that were a part of the boot camp, like you had JJ Virgin. Remember, she said you really need to keep a food diary to be successful. And I had tried to keep food diaries before, but it was through that session that I started keeping a food diary, which really helps me stay on track with
your food sensitivities.
You said Rachel, you got to avoid those foods that are not your safe foods to be successful. And I learned I have safe foods and I have unsafe foods, and if I get off of one, I have a reaction, I just get back on it the next day. I think that's the biggest thing, is that over this time frame of that, I grew so much in what I knew and how less distressed I felt about it.
So having the information to empower you to accept what changes have to be made in your life, too.
And the underlying thing is that you feel so much better, and then that becomes the big motivator. The other thing.
So how are you feeling now?
You're like a little airplane that's constantly trying to right itself. But it really is a process, and I'm so much better than I was. It's just night and day, night and day.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you, ladies, both for sharing your stories. And as we now launching and encouraging other women to do the Women's Restorative Health Bootcamp, which you can sign on to from the website below, but at womensrestorativehealth.com. What we've done in the 7 key approach is address the mental, physical, nutrition, environment, digestion, detoxification, hormonal balance, sexual health, and structure and function. 7 keys to really implementing a optimal health and optimal living, and empowering you with the knowledge and committing you and making you accountable to me during the program, plus my other boot campers that are live on our forum and able to answer questions and encourage you along the way, really creating a beautiful network of heart-centered people who are transforming their lives and living examples for their families. And we want you to join us in this program.